And I'll ask Danette to take roll for this.
Tommy Jewell,
I'm present.
Debbie Strong,
Present.
Debbie Dodge,
Present.
Diane Layden,
Present.
Joseph Lopez.
Present.
Do we have David Montoya on? I see him on the camera, but he doesn't seem to be coming through.
And I recognize Elena Giacci as she.
Elena Giacci, present.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mr. Stewart declined the meeting. I believe he's out of town, sir.
I believe he did send me an email much earlier indicating that he had some business in Texas. So please indicate that he's excused. Anyone else we need to call?
Michael Wismer. Have we heard from him?
I don't recall. Is Mr. Wisner on?
He is not. And Mr. Montoya is coming back on. There you are.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Oh, David, yeah.
Well, I want to recognize that we have a quorum and we'll proceed to conduct business. I want to start in this, our first live meeting, for thanking county staff for setting all this up. And I don't know who's public, who's press, who's staff. A few people I recognize, and so I don't know if it's necessary to do any introductions outside of the board, but all are welcome. And I particularly want to mention that Floyd did just an excellent job in getting some word out about this particular meeting. Thank you for that, Floyd. Kind of as a report, Floyd had me going around giving interviews, so I apologize for being seen in public. But I think mission accomplished.
Yeah.
I think we got the word out to the public. And there's at least
Debbie, can you mute your mic, and also Mr. Montoya? The background's not coming in.
Debbie and David, you can see us all?
Yeah. Hi, David.
Okay. All right. I think the mic is muted. So it seemed to me, Dannett just did a tremendous job in organizing this, but also in managing some of the comments that we were getting online. And I don't know, I think I counted at least 18 various comments that were made with respect. Staff may have better control of the number, but I thought in light of that we might have a full gallery here and may need to deviate from the established agenda to accommodate people and not have them sitting here all day. So I don't know, Danette, do we have people lined up on Google Team or Microsoft Team to speak? Are there members of the public here who have come particularly to speak?
We have Miss Veronica Medina. She is here in person and she also signed up. Yes. And your daughter's is Josephine? They're both signed up to speak.
Okay. And with respect to people online, do you have a command of that, Danette? Are there people also?
There is people online. I don't see anybody signed up to speak. They're coming in. So as they come in, I will elevate them.
Well, let me do this. Let me offer the board the opportunity to deviate from the established agenda. And if there's a second for that.
I'll second.
Dr. Layden has graciously seconded my motion. All in favor of deviating from the order of the day, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so let's start then with our live speakers. And I think Floyd got the word out, but if he did not, let me just say, comments are going to be limited to 2 minutes. We're fortunate to have Chief Deputy, is it Deputy Chief or Chief Deputy?
Chief Deputy.
Chief Deputy Carrillo with us. And she's aware of the issues that have gotten us in the community. And so she may be in a position, or perhaps other staff of the sheriff's office may be in a position to speak to some of the issues. But let me just say that the SOAR is here to take comment. We're not particularly taking a position on some of this. There may be an opportunity for us to have a discussion in the board, but the primary purpose is to get public comment. And so with that, let me not belabor. Danette, would you call our first speaker? And in addition, would you keep time for me? Thank you.
You guys would like to come first. And this is Medina and family.
Up there would be fine. Mr. Medina?
No. My name is Luis Ramirez.
And before you start, let me just note for the record, I got a note that Michael Wismer is here.
He's on Zoom.
Okay, very good. I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Very well. Good afternoon. My name is Luis Ramirez, and I believe the recording of On Patrol with Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office has negative impacts on the community and the officers' ability to do their jobs. Exactly a week ago last Friday, my girlfriend was in a roadside accident. She called me for help while I was playing music at a local restaurant. Upon my arrival to the scene 20 minutes later, the sheriff had failed to adequately investigate and document the roadside accident between two parties. The sheriff was too busy talking to the camera crew producing the show. I had to ask him to go and talk to my girlfriend. When I asked him what the filming was for, he failed to provide a clear answer. Considering I was in uniform, I asked him not to film. Despite asking him numerous times to stop filming, he failed to stop the crew from recording. Instead, he called 2 more sheriffs to the scene, one with an additional camera crew. The footage I specifically asked not to be recorded was aired showing my face and the uniform I used to perform music. The very next day, people were recognizing me from the show at the very restaurants I go to make a living. This made for some uncomfortable remarks and unwanted attention. I await to see the future repercussions of this footage I explicitly asked BCSO not to be a part of. The media spun our image in a negative fashion. However, they kept out the part where one of the sheriffs grabbed my girlfriend by the arm and threatened arrest for trying to get the insurance information of the other party after we felt the sheriffs were more interested in the show than in helping the situation. The filming of On Patrol impacts BCSO's ability to do their work properly without the interest of media in mind and negatively impacts the lives of the community. It's already impacting ours. We seek to speak to BCSO about this issue further.
Thank you, sir. Next, Danette.
Veronica.
Hello, my name is Josephine, and I have firsthand experience with the Sheriff's Department utilizing this program to make civilians feel scrutinized and uncomfortable.
Excuse me, could you slow down and speak louder?
Yes, ma'am. Would you like me to start over?
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Josephine. I have firsthand experience with our Sheriff's Department utilizing this program to make civilians feel scrutinized and uncomfortable. I was in a motor vehicle accident last week, and the sheriffs on scene were much more concerned with the camera crew than making sure my safety was ensured. I was ignored and threatened to be taken into custody and making to feel hopeless by BCSO, and to think it could be displayed for my community to see seems absolutely disheartening. I'm fully against the show being made in our city, and I will continue to share what I feel is exploitation.
Thank you. Now, is this the same
Yes, sir.
situation? Okay. And let me say that, ma'am, come on up. No, I mean, the lady that just stood up. Come on up. You make your way up. But I know that the board has received some comments online, so it is certainly possible to leave a written comment in addition.
She said she did.
Oh, she did? Okay.
But that being said, is it better for us to come in? We've never done this before, but we felt so inspired to do. We wanted to come in so you could see actually our faces.
Now I can.
Yes. So that's the reason we
Totally
came.
fine, ma'am. I didn't, we actually have never done this live.
Oh, I see.
So,
Oh.
we have
Oh, you
received.
mean a meeting like this live?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I've
Okay,
never
well,
met-
we're all
I've
new
never met-
together.
Never met this woman yet, met with her monthly for 2 years, okay? So I just wanted to make sure that it was clear,
Yes.
in case there are dozens of people waiting to talk, that you can leave a public comment without exercising your 2-minute privilege.
Well, I think it's important that you see us,
Okay.
yeah, for this 2 minutes.
So
Because
please
we do
introduce
feel
yourself and
strongly.
continue.
Okay, my name is Veronica Medina. Just some background is, my father was a police officer. He retired, went back to the sheriff's department and retired from there. So we were brought up with that blue wall, behind that blue wall. We know the closeness that police officers and all that you have to do. But my question is that are our officers, are our deputies coming in and are they reacting as they would without a camera crew? And I can tell you that I believe that you wouldn't. I really do. I believe you wouldn't act the same without a camera crew. I think that you'd be more empathetic. The oath that you take is to honor, to serve, and to protect, not to become a reality TV star. I work at a high school. I'm a high school teacher. And I also know that we're in the age of media, that TikTok, that Instagram, that everything, Facebook, everything live, and reality TV is part of it. And I don't think it's a good look for our community, especially when it comes to law enforcement, especially, I know as teachers and I know the cops, we're always in the news. And I don't think this is a piece of the news that we need to be in. And thank you for your time. Thank you all for coming here today to listen to us. Because my daughter, and unless one of you all have a child that's involved in an accident and a tire came off a car and came out her little Volkswagen Bug. So it wasn't like it was a high-speed pursuit. It wasn't a perpetrator. It was an accident. And so unless one of you all have a child that's involved, you don't want her victimized twice, especially by cameras and a crew. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else, live? So if you would start by introducing yourself.
Sure. My name's Henry Schonerd. I'm retired. I live in the North Valley, right near the North Valley Command, and just recently had a ride along with Deputy Anthony Zurich. You might know him. It was a great experience. My interest in going along on the ride along was because of community policing, and I'm particularly interested in connections between Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office and the APD. And it's one of the things we talked about when I was riding along. I'm interested in community policing and in large part to de-escalate, to manage most situations. Certainly was true with Deputy Zurich. Most situations are not going to be violent in any way. So one of the main things that police can do is to de-escalate a situation when they're called. And I think Anthony Zurich is a great example of somebody who's confident in their ability to manage a situation that shouldn't turn in that direction, violent. He knows jujitsu. One of the things I'm particularly interested in is having police officers learn techniques that will de-escalate a situation, and jiu-jitsu is a particularly good way to do it while reducing injuries to both perpetrators and the police officers.
You have 30 seconds. So.
That's it. Okay. So thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here. This is a new deal here. Huh?
Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
comments. Sir.
Sure.
So I have like 12 people waiting in the lobby. I can't admit them all. I can't tell who about 3 people are because of phone numbers. But I think that's the only way they'll be able to hear the meeting completely. I do have the access to mute if they want to speak.
As best you can, please allow them to speak one by one.
This meeting is being recorded and or transcribed.
So we can have them turn off their mics and raise their hands. We can do it in that order.
Of course, they understand the term raise your hand to be on the Microsoft Teams. And hopefully nobody is at home waving.
They all muted themselves, so
Mr. Wismer, we're good.
I have Aaron Martinez. Would you like to speak on anything?
Mr. Martinez, if you'll unmute, you have the floor. Mr. Martinez, can you hear us?
Yeah, he's on there. I can go next to Brittany Blade. I think she's from the news, if I'm correct.
Brittany,
So
Blade.
she's with the media. Christy Edwards.
and certainly members of the media are members of the public if they're wanting to make a comment. I assume they're here to receive and not to give, so.
Claire, as a guest, would you like to speak? Brittany just chatted me back that she is just here to observe.
Okay.
Aaron said he's just here to observe.
Yeah, everyone's still muted on.
My recollection is, Danette, for anyone to speak, they have to be elevated to a panelist. Is that right?
Actually, their Teams works a little bit different.
Oh, does
They're
it?
all here. They can hear us. They can unmute themselves. I've muted them all right now just so that we don't have that background sound. But if they want to speak, they can either raise their hand or send me a chat. And I will unmute them.
Okay. Anyone else to speak?
Claire said she already submitted her comments, so she's just here to listen.
And so, board members, what's your pleasure with respect to the comments that we've received in writing? Do you want to hear them, or shall we just leave them as a record and let you read them?
It looks like Lucas Herndon would like to speak.
I do have a chair, someone by the name of Lucas, and he says, are we speaking on subjects later in the meeting now? So I can unmute him, and if he wants to say anything, he'd like to speak. So I'm gonna go ahead and unmute him.
Very good, thank you.
Yes, hello, thank you. My name is Lucas Herndon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I just wanted to address this board. It was my tweet that apparently got this conversation going around the imagery being used on the sheriff's officer's vehicle. And I want to just say briefly that in my professional role with Progress Now New Mexico, we have done a lot of tracking of far-right, white nationalist, and other extremists. It's a big part of my job. I consider myself a professional in this particular field. These images, while I understand there to be a they've been voted on, I think, by the cadet classes. I understand that is where they came from. The problem is the perception, and these images are used by far-right, violent groups of people in other parts of our culture to symbol to others like them their intent. And so I don't want to make an overarching assumption about, you know, any particular officer or the department, but what it appears, right, the public perception is that those are symbols from the agency to other people who are like-minded and would see those symbols as something well, that the agency is espousing those beliefs. And
Mr. Herndon, let me just interrupt briefly to ask, you've spoken generally. Are there particular, I've been shown maybe 4 different symbols. Are there, of those 4, and I don't know what amount of publicity has reached you, but of those symbols that I'm familiar with, and Floyd, you can kind of speak to them. I don't know if you can show them. Are there particular ones, or all 4, or what are we talking about?
In particular, the Spartan helmet, and there's at least 1, I think maybe even 2 different variations of that particular image. And the Spartan helmet is utilized by a number of far-right militia type groups, the kind of people you saw being violent at January 6th, for example. It is a historical
2 minutes. 2 minutes, yes, sir.
In light of my question, we're going to extend your time, Mr. Herndon. Your 2 minutes is run, but you have another 30 seconds, please. Continue.
Oh, okay. So my only other comment is that in one of the Spartan images, there is also what appears to be a thin blue line Zia symbol that's incorporated into that. And while I myself am not a member of the Zia Pueblo by any means, I do know that the Zia Pueblo has asked repeatedly that their symbol not be utilized in any way other than it's traditionally exposed as on the New Mexican flag. So incorporating a different flag onto that is considered offensive to the best of my knowledge. I don't want to speak as an expert, but that is something I think the department should consider. And with that, I will yield my time. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Mr. Herndon. Thank you for sharing your expertise. Any other comments?
Alexander Garza has signed up to speak. Is that you, sir?
Actually, I just showed up
Okay.
to observe the proceedings, but I did see this invitation to, or the notice on the Channel 13 article, and it had a telephone number there. I repeatedly called that telephone number, and I was never ever responded to. That little link there, I took a screenshot, so I didn't have the link to it, but that, in my opinion, there wasn't really too much to get people notified about this meeting, and I think this meeting is very, very important. These symbols right here that you see here in, it's unfortunately, we don't even have them here to see, you know, but there it is, there it is, there it is. I'm upset because these symbols do represent things, and, you know, nonchalantly, you may think, oh, this is okay, this is all right, but here in Bernalillo County, the greater Bernalillo County, these are just the beginnings of symbols. You ought to look over there at the Bernalillo County Fire Department, look over there at the Albuquerque Fire Department. Yeah, these symbols are everywhere. There are little birds, bears, they're, in my opinion, are communist symbols. These symbols have roots in communism. And I'm not putting up with this. I've made public record at the Albuquerque Fire Department, at Bernalillo County Fire Department. These little communist symbols that they're driving me around on need to stop. And it's not just communist symbols, but they're communist style mentality of treating me like I don't know what I'm doing. It's BS. And I'm going to continue adding more documentation to the Bernalillo County Fire Department, Bernalillo County or Albuquerque Fire Department, you guys are all in the same area. Bottom line.
Thank you, sir.
Bernalillo County. I'm coming after you guys with these symbols. They're rooted in Marxist communism.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now quick to end this thing. You don't think I know what I'm doing or what I'm saying? I've lived with communists. I speak Mandarin Chinese. I speak Vietnamese. I lived in Russia. Yeah, I know what communism is about. I've seen it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Done.
Thank you.
I believe Lucas would like to speak. If you can unmute Lucas.
Wasn't that Lucas that we heard from previously?
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay, so I think he's good. Anybody else? Okay.
No other hands are raised, Danette?
Nope. No other hands.
Okay, so the chair will offer one more opportunity. Anybody else wanting to speak, even if it regards a matter further in our agenda, please raise your hand so that you might be recognized. Not seeing any raised hands, I'm going to then assume that.
I have Claire that raised her hand
Claire.
just now.
Claire.
Okay, yeah.
Hello. Yeah, I figured since not too many people were speaking, I would just briefly kind of summarize what I had written. But in regards to the TV show, to be honest, I can't quite remember the name, but I first came across that
It's on Patrol Live.
Yes, I first came across that being promoted through the official Bernalillo County Sheriff Twitter account, which I followed for public safety updates, news about what's going on in the county. And I was really shocked to see the promotion of a TV show. I don't think that's appropriate as an official platform. Additionally, there was jokes made about the people that the sheriff's interacting with on the Twitter, which I think is extremely unprofessional. I'm a social worker, and so I often work with people who've had police interactions. It's often some of the worst moments of their life. So I don't think it should be televised, and I additionally don't think that the government should be making money off of, hard times in people's lives. They're often embarrassed maybe later, or it doesn't represent who they really are. So I do think it's inappropriate for that to be a way to make money. Additionally, the symbols on the car, I experience them as being white nationalist symbols. And I do think that the government has a higher level of accountability to try to represent the people of the county. And I just don't think that that car or the TV show do that well in any sense. And I do think that the government should have like a higher standard for their behavior, and especially how they use official channels like Twitter or like a uniform car. Like I think that those represent power in the community, and they should be used really carefully.
Thank you, Claire. Anybody else, Jeanette?
Nope, I'm not seeing anybody else.
Okay. Well, I want to thank all of our public speakers for their input. And I think we received a variety of comments that are online. I don't know if the board wants to go through a reading of those, or if their own reading will suffice to elucidate the individual board members about the comments that have been received. I had a brief opportunity to say to Chief Carrillo that she might address it briefly in her comments. Obviously, and in the agenda, we have room for the sheriff's office to comment. And so while it's not necessary, certainly she may. But at this time, If you all will, I'd suggest that we move to the order of the day, return to our agenda, and take things as they appear in the agenda. Is there a second to that?
I have a
Elaine?
question. So we're gathering the public comments.
Correct.
And are we going to discuss that at some point in time within this group? Or, I mean, I think it's great that the public is coming to do that, but I also think there might be an expectation of, now that we have done that, what are our next steps to take in that information and move forward with that?
Yeah, I'm not adverse to a discussion of that. Do you want to take that up now, or is obviously there are several avenues that this can take. One of which is our annual report, and I think Vice Chair Strongin has already made at least some allusion to this being a part of our annual report. So I anticipate that we will have an opportunity to more fully discuss what we've received, to hear from other board members. I think I saw quite early something from Mr. Stewart, who has law enforcement experience, about an experience in Texas, and he's not here with us, so I don't want to talk about that without him being here. But yes, I anticipate that we would have further discussion. If it's your pleasure, you may certainly so move that we continue with the discussion of that now. We do have a full and robust agenda, and it is, I don't think, fully developed now. One gentleman made the comment, these symbols aren't even on the wall. I don't know who of you have seen, I think Floyd provided some of the symbols to us, and certainly I think we need to hear from the sheriff's office before we start opining on symbols or on patrol live. And I think there has been, in the press that I've seen, some explanation. I don't know that that's the reality. I would rather rely on Chief Carrillo than a news article. So.
Well, I think it would be nice to hear, I know it seems like we have representatives from BCSO, so it would be nice to also hear if they have any public comments about that.
Well, I anticipate that can happen in their comments, or if you want it to happen now outside of their comments, that's fine. You want to take it up now?
I do have Michael Wismers had his hand up for a while,
okay.
so.
Ms. Giacci, you still have the floor, is there?
No, I give up the floor.
Okay. Mr. Wismer?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would like to offer my apologies to the board for my summer vacation activities. My wife and I decided we were going to knock off some of those bucket list things, and we've been going for a while, but I'm back.
Never apologize for your summer vacations. You have earned it. You're entitled to it. Please.
And I also want to add that I have a puppy here now that keeps me home, so I'll be available from now on in. The next thing I wanted to offer to Mr. Chairman as part of the process is we, as a board, and I realize we have some new members who have not seen the document, but we do have a process that we approved for advising, for providing a formal advisory notice to either Bernalillo County or the Sheriff's Department. And if either of the topics that were discussed via public comment are of interest to provide a formal advisory, then I would suggest we add a discussion topic for the next meeting to fully vet out what kind of advisory we would like to offer to either Bernalillo County or the Sheriff's Department. And in the meantime, I would also send out to all of the board members the policy that we did approve. And it has a couple of different steps, and we've already done a majority of the steps. So it is possible to use the venue of the formal advisory in addition to the annual meeting to communicate our recommendations forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wisdom. So I'll return to you, Ms. Giacci. It's the next thing on our agenda would be the consent agenda. I don't think we've taken up approval of the minutes or anything. So if it is okay with you, I'll go ahead and ask that we approve the minutes. And then comes the sheriff's office comment.
Okay.
It might even be appropriate to ask Chief Carrillo. Thank you. Yes, sure.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so if that is the board's pleasure, I'll take up item 3 on the agenda, the consent agenda, which has one item, approval of the minutes for September 9, 2022. You all have received the draft minutes. Is there a motion?
A motion, make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second?
I second.
Any discussion? Well, again, Danette, you've given us a fairly comprehensive set of minutes. That level of detail is not required of you, but we appreciate it. And so if there's nothing further, those in favor of approval of the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? The minutes provided for September 9 are approved. We'll proceed then to item 4 on the agenda, Sheriff's Office comment, and the chair will recognize Chief Deputy.
Kind of first want to, I'm new to this. This is just my second meeting. The way that it was described to me, the purpose of the board and what you guys do is to kind of be as a mediator, or stepping stone, if you will, a bridge between the citizens and us to help to build those relationships, bring up concerns that the citizens have. That's what you guys are there for. The way that all of this came about makes me think that something, you guys posed the question. I guess I'm also curious, are these questions that are coming from the citizens, were they coming to you in bulk saying, we have concerns with this. These are concerns we have about this imagery, or is this something that came from the board?
Let me try to provide an answer to that,
Okay.
Chief Carrillo. And Floyd, please help me. I think, and Mr. Herndon spoke to this as well, there was a tweet or Twitter.
It was his tweet.
It was his tweet?
Yes. That caught
and so Floyd's responsibility is to bring those issues that are received to the board. And so Floyd brought it to our attention. But we felt it necessary to place it on the agenda for discussion.
And that I have no issues with bringing, putting it on the agenda, having a discussion, which I completely embrace. I think that us as an agency, as well as other agencies, we always have room to improve and things to do differently. And we want to hear those concerns the way that this was portrayed out. The questions that were, I saw some of the questions that were put out onto the press releases. In my opinion, they were fairly loaded and one-sided to where it said, no, we don't want your opinion one way or the other. It's, we have concerns for X, Y, and Z, and we think this is horrible for X, Y, and Z. What do you think? When you pose a question like that to somebody, you're already kind of leaning them into one way or the other. I understand that there are people who they don't need to go that way.
Let me interrupt again, Chief, and just tell you, I mean, we've seen opinion across the board. If the question was loaded, certainly somebody used that as an opportunity to unload the question and say, it's fine with me. The sheriff's office ought to be on TV, on REELZ. Ought to have these symbols on cars. So we've seen opinion across the board. So, you know, I don't want you to consume your time with shooting the messenger.
Absolutely not. And
Okay.
I'll get to my point. So my
Okay.
point is I wish that it was done differently. It was put on the agenda to discuss things with us. And if there were an issue, so that way we can come together to the board, we would have the opportunity then to explain to you guys, what are these symbols? How did we come across to this being on the recruiting vehicle? How was it that we decided to go about going on patrol? So that way you can see where we were coming from, and we can discuss it. If it was something, maybe then you said, hey, we think this is inappropriate. Okay, well, we're gonna change it if we came to that conclusion. And then it didn't need to be putting us on all the news media saying, what's your thing on this? And then I don't think the board should, to me, it seems like it was trying to get the community riled up against the law enforcement when you guys should be doing something different. And again, that's just my opinion on how I view things that happen. We are open to hearing these. We want to hear them. We want to work with you. I just hope that going forward, when some of these issues come up, come to us. I am more than willing to sit and speak with any of you. I mean, I am born and raised in this community. I've worked on the department forever. I've come from all these backgrounds, and I want to be, I believe we're in the best agency, and I want to continue to make it that way for everybody. I want you guys on board with us. And I think that the way this was rolled out was inappropriate.
Well, thank you for that reflection. And, you know, I had the opportunity to sit on the Zoom with your predecessor in this position and say, we're not always going to agree on things. And it seems to me incumbent on us to at least establish a platform where the voiceless, where the people who don't feel comfortable can bring issues. And my sense is there was some of that in this. So if it came to you in a way that wasn't particularly palatable, I apologize for that. But I'd really like to know more about the substance of it. What is the process for making decisions that fall into these categories, for appearing on patrol live, for the symbols on the cars? And as I said previously, you know, I don't want to particularly take the news account. The media is necessary in us getting the word out to the public that this forum is available to them to do that. And I think later you'll see where we always, on this line that we walk, have to be cognizant of the fact that we don't want to get too comfortable, because our public may not feel comfortable if they say, well, this is just another vehicle of the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office. I'm not going to tell them anything. So again, you know, there may be some tension in that relationship, but please don't let that be a barrier in us developing some understanding about the underlying process by which, you know, some of these decisions were made. We have legal here. We have Daniel, and he may know something about the contractual part of the TV operation. I know that there was some information in the media that there was a contract.
I am not aware. I knew about it when the press releases come out, but I do work with BCSO quite closely, but I wasn't involved in that contract, so I can't really give much information about how it came to be.
Our PIOs worked closely with them when they were discussing the contract and the decisions, and would like to hear from her. You can comment on the patrol portion.
So not in the corner. Yeah, so I'm Jamie Fuller. I'm the Public Information Officer. As far as the inception of On Patrol, this was something that we were approached by Big Fish Entertainment. I have a previous working relationship with Live PD when they were with A&E. Over the last couple of years, I've stayed in touch with them, and they had wanted to bring the show back in a form called On Patrol Live. And so this all started 2 years ago. Whenever it was canceled, they were already considering the time frame that they were going to restart the show, and whether that was going to be Live PD or On Patrol Live. And so at that point, I had approached my sheriff with it, with the information that they were providing to me. We were aware that REELZ Network was going to pick up the TV show, and REELZ Network is based out of here in Albuquerque. So it was a nice connection for something local. We were proud to have REELZ Network in Albuquerque, and it was something that we were considering working with them on. And so they came in, met with us, explained to us how the show would work and what that footprint would look for us, if that was going to be something burdensome, what the perception of the TV was supposed to be, what the goal of the show was, and what they wanted to change from Live PD to On Patrol Live. So based off of what the producer said and the people that we met with that day, We were very confident in their approach and their stance in lifting up law enforcement officers, but also lifting up the community. And at the time, felt like it was a good approach for us. I think in law enforcement, I've been a PIO for almost 8 years now. It's been difficult with the roller coaster of emotions that the community and the media has portrayed to law enforcement. And I think we've been beat up pretty good the last couple of years. So this was an approach for us to connect with the community in a way of, there is a huge fan base for Live PD. I'm not sure if any of you have watched Live PD, or if you have watched On Patrol Live, I would encourage you to actually watch the On Patrol Live show. It is unfortunate to hear about a negative experience, and I'm confident that my captain and my deputy chief will look into any sort of concerns that somebody might have that could have properly or possibly been mistreated on the show. Those are obviously things that we do not want to happen and was certainly not the expectation when we started. So this fan base has really, I think, boosted morale for a lot of people. We get a lot of positive comments. We have over 250,000 followers on our platforms combined. I mean, we connect with our community in a multitude of ways every single day. The media is out filming filming the stuff that we do on a day-to-day basis. We have a deputy involved shooting. Media is there with their cameras. Unfortunately, filming dead bodies. They have public records requests where every single one of our body cameras is accessible to the public at all times. So On Patrol Live for us was an extension of our dash cameras, an extension of our body cameras. They don't encourage anything. This is so different than cops in the sense that it's not prepackaged, sensationalized law enforcement activity. This was supposed to give a real life look into the day-to-day policing operations that BCSO does and the great work that our men and women do every single day. Another approach they were hoping to do was highlight some more of our community policing stuff. I think right now they're trying to get over that road bump of not airing for the last 2 years and really trying to figure out what it is that people are looking for in law enforcement, and then how that's going to look with potentially filming with ride-alongs, like the gentleman that said he went and rode with one of our deputies, filming one of those interactions with a community member and getting some feedback that way. So it's a process. It's not perfect. Not everybody's going to be happy. And I feel like sometimes we're in a lose-lose situation, but this was an approach for us to do another extra step of transparency, because now you guys get to ride along with us 6 hours every week and give you guys a look into what we actually do, rather than just maybe making assumptions or one negative interaction. I know that gentleman's airtime on Patrol Live was less than a minute, but that could be the worst minute of his life. And that's an unfortunate situation that needs to be looked into. And I don't disagree with that. But the majority of the other things have been very great so far, and our feedback has been very positive.
Dr. Lee.
Hi. I would like assurance that the sheriff's office will look into that complaint from that family about what took place. This is my concern about On Patrol. I want to say I've studied violence for 35 years, including hate crimes, and I'll have a comment on that later. Okay, I don't watch reality shows about police. I've watched shows on Investigation ID where they reenact what has taken place, and the actual individuals, unless they're on to make comments, don't appear. So my concern is you're filming people as things are happening to them. I remember when the issue of body cameras came up to Sheriff Gonzalez, one of his objections was that it would show real people in the course of what was taking place. Okay, now we have body cameras, hooray. But this is my objection to these programs. I'm sorry, I'm not going to watch. I don't want to see these people who have not volunteered to be taped and shown on national TV. Or is it just local? Is this just local? No, it's national. Okay, I have a question about their privacy. So that is my concern. I know this is a controversial subject, and I know the community won't agree, and I know you have many fans. But of those of us who are not fans, this is one concern.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, I think, like you just mentioned, Sheriff Gonzalez's original concern with it is that all of our body camera footage is IPRable. It's open to public record. And, for an example, there was a homicide that took place recently that played out on screen. You could see the homicide happen. Whenever we send out IPRA requests or fulfill IPRA requests to give people body camera footage, we always blur out the image of the deceased victim of that homicide or whatever the case may be when we provide it to media. we've had a couple media outlets extremely angry at the fact that we blur out those images because they believe that they have the right to that footage and have no problem airing that footage or putting that footage on their website. So there is kind of a balance there where we try to do our best, try to be respectful of people's constitutional rights and receiving the information that they request, but I do hear your concern.
And I would like to add to that because I also think that's important. I think one of the things that certainly the communities that I serve, which are victims and survivors of violence, often it's one of those good news, bad news as far as the cameras go, because in some ways you can get excited utterances on camera. On the bad news side, you could get some person who's reporting a rape, coming to the scene of something like that. There's been a lot of different issues nationally for that. My question to you is for your policies, procedures, and protocols for the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office, do you have policies that talk about when a person is a victim or a child is a victim? I mean, either of those, what your protocols are for not showing that when we're looking at a body cam, because I think that also goes to kind of the public component of that and wanting to see what is being done to preserve people's rights to be able to say if they do or don't want to be on camera. It's a terrible time to ask someone when they're in trauma, whether or not they want to be on camera or not, or the kinds of things. I mean, officers have a right, if there's a shooting, to have a certain amount of time before they have to make any statements, to be able to provide that space when someone is in trauma. So I'm just wondering what the BCSO policies are.
Specified to the show or to an IFRA request?
Both, well, the show and the body cameras, because you're still talking about people being filmed that may not want to be filmed. And in that case, that was just brought up to us, it's a matter of, it's national, people see it, the fan base works for people and it works against people, because then all of a sudden you're finding yourself in the midst of the storm and you had nothing to do with the storm.
Some of the, I mean, whenever it comes to adults and public viewing or public media reporting in general, there can be some discretion. We spoke with our camera crews. From my understanding, if there's a situation that's going to escalate or make this situation unsafe by any means, they have been doing this for many years and know when to walk away with the cameras. There's no legal boundaries for that. As far as IPRA, when it comes to victims or specifically juveniles, I know that that information is redacted. And then I know that there's legal parameters on the show side from juveniles and how that would work with ever showing that type of imagery. And I know that there's quite a few instances on the show where the faces are blurred out. So there's always a 30-minute delay at minimum for the airtime that's going out. Our command staff has options to view the footage live. And if there is any sort of issue or reason or something that's going to violate our policy or what we believe violate somebody's rights, we would tell the show that this portion is not allowed to be aired, and they would not air that portion.
So you do have policies and protocols for both body cam and for the live show?
There's not anything in our current SOP that's specified to On Patrol Live, no.
Okay.
And just to kind of piggyback on what she said, it's not just an option, but our command staff, which is captains, chief deputies, under sheriffs, they do in fact watch that show live with that 30-minute buffer. So if during the time when it's being watched and we determine that there is something that is of concern, we are able to contact producers prior to it being shown.
And when you talk about concern, you're talking about the police department. So the people that we just heard from, there's no way that they would know that if they had a complaint immediately to talk to somebody, or is that offered to them if they are on the show? That if they have a reasonable request of not being shown, that is or isn't part of that?
It is in our SOP that if you request to speak to a supervisor, that a supervisor must report to the scene.
Okay.
So they do have an option to talk to a sergeant at that point. As far as just declining to be filmed, I think we've seen it across the country, officers asking not to be filmed or people not to be filmed in general with the media. There's no legal or policy in place that says if they just ask not to be, we have to stop immediately.
Can you speak to, I'm sorry, Ms. Giacci, were you finished? Did you have something for me?
No, I did not.
Can you speak to some of the contractual details? What is the payment and to whom does it go? You've mentioned, I guess, several staff being involved in a review that happens in this half hour. How much man time is consumed, I guess, controlling the content of the program?
So it is one member from the command staff, and we kind of rotate through. Our command staff is salaried, so it's not like we're gaining overtime or extra pay from doing it. But we do watch it throughout the entire time. So there's one person. So for I think it's a 3-hour show, somebody watches it for that entire time.
It airs for 3 hours on TV?
It's 3 hours on Friday night and 3 hours on Saturday.
Friday and Saturday.
And we have
Prime
not
time
received any sort of monetary payment for this as to date.
And there was some mention in an article about a nominal fee for use of symbols or something. Is there a contract in place? Does the county attorney have a contract?
I believe that there is some sort of payment that goes to the county general fund. So the sheriff's office,
Are you aware
our
of that, Daniel?
particular office doesn't use that.
Daniel, are you aware of that?
Unfortunately, I am not the contract attorney for Bernalillo County. I do have access, but if there's a question about this, I can research it and provide you all an answer.
Okay.
It's called an insignia fee licensing, and so that is something that they authorize in a contract of $1,000 a week for use of the logos and representation of Bernalillo County in any sort of production or filming, but that is part of it. But like I said, we have not received any sort of monetary payment to the state.
Sir, did you have something to say?
Yes, I just want to ask a question. Were these insignias specific to those cars to that particular show? Because I have never seen any of these insignias on any of the Bernalillo County sheriffs.
So we may be talking apples and oranges.
No, those are
Because I
recruiting.
can tell you right now, if I had seen some of these on the road, I'd take a picture of them just like I have all the others.
No, sir.
So.
The symbols are on
maybe,
recruiting
yes, the symbols are a little bit different than the subject at hand, but that's fine if you have information you want to share about that process.
Chair Jewel, we have Mr. Montoya has his hand raised for comment.
David?
Hi, y'all. Sorry, I'm up north in Las Vegas. I'm doing some of this fire debris removal up here with my company. So I apologize for not being there in person. I guess my only comment is would it be too much to ask? I'd probably be the next sheriff to be able to have people being filmed to opt out. I think that would probably solve about 80 or 90% of the controversy here. I think that I think it's really important when we in law enforcement that we protect and serve. I think part of that protect is protecting the privacy of citizens. And if I were to give any advice, that would be my advice. Is my advisement would be, maybe there's a provision that, since it seems like there's not really a formal policy in place to engage in these television shows, these reality shows, but I think that probably my advice would be is to allow citizens that are appearing in these reality shows to be able to opt out. I mean, I think that's part of protecting the citizen. I know that COPS all says all detainees are innocent until proven guilty is their big disclaimer, but I think maybe we need to go a step further in this day and age. That was back in the 90s, in which we really err on the side of protecting the citizen and protecting their privacy. I mean, they're not getting paid SAG-AFTRA rates to appear on this show, and certainly I think that that should be one of our priorities as a board is not only to communicate some of the things we've heard from the public, but also to provide that advice on how the sheriff's department can better protect the public. I think that might be a good suggestion. That would probably eliminate maybe 90% of the complaints here.
Thank you, Mr. Montoya, and I know that one of the questions that we've attempted to formulate for purposes of the upcoming debate does address at least the topic, if not directly the suggestion.
Just to clarify, are you saying they should have the option to opt out of being on the show or opt out of being filmed? Because state law does not allow us to opt out of filming everybody. Actually, our deputies would get in trouble if they chose not to film somebody.
I'm talking about the television crew filming.
Okay.
You know, the television crew is something that that's different than the body cams, I think. I think the body cams is a tool. I think that the camera crews are not a law enforcement tool.
I would disagree.
You would disagree? Whoever said that, explain to me how
Well,
hiring
I
a
don't think
television
anybody
show.
disagreed with you.
No, I would disagree. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think there's a national conversation around body cameras and the filming of crime victims and that component. So there is a conversation about how, when body cam, because if someone is being filmed around the complete and intimate details of being raped, and then, it's one thing to tell an officer, it's a whole different thing if they ask for that to be publicly shown. That's pretty significant. So, yeah, there is a conversation.
That's a
around it.
whole other
agrees
box of Pandora's.
Right,
I think
But
that's
I
a whole
thought
other
I
box of Pandora's, as Bruce King would say.
right.
I think to me, a film crew filming
Yeah,
a
a
television
film
show
is completely different.
is not
Yeah,
a law
let's not
enforcement.
spend a whole lot of time on this, Mr. Montoya. I think we get the distinction between the film crew filming and the body worn camera. State controls the body worn camera. Private interests control the TV cameras. So I think we're clear on that. And I think that was your question, Chief Carrillo. If not, did he answer your question?
Yeah, somewhat, just because we don't have the option to opt out of filming someone. So we do, by state law, have to film citizens that we interact with, which is then open to the public, to anybody who requests that video. So in a sense, it's similar, with the exception of it's not worn on the body versus somebody standing outside with the camera.
But you have a contractual relationship with REELZ. And that can be a component of a contract, right? That if somebody opts out of being filmed on this TV show, they may opt out. Now, you may not choose to make that contractual distinction.
Yeah, and that was just my question, because even if they would opt out of being filmed by the crew, they would still be getting filmed, which would
So
still be open to the
your
public.
argument is this: well, they're going to be filmed anyway because IPRA's the law. And I'm saying and he's saying there's a distinction.
Yeah, I'm definitely not making the argument. I'm just trying to make sure that I understand what point was being made.
Well, and there's also the issue of, as a citizen, could be around that scene, filming it on my camera, and I can post that on Facebook, on Instagram. I mean, I can post that anywhere I want, and there's no legal ramification for that. I mean, so it's a really a complicated issue, because you can't deny citizens from filming,
Right,
so,
that's a different issue too.
Well,
Because,
yeah,
because if you've got a television program that you're profiting from,
well, they're not profiting, they said. The REELZ maybe is
if it's
profiting.
$1,000 a week that's coming to the county, it's a contract. And
I know, she says they didn't get any money, but yet that.
We
so that
haven't
didn't-
received any payment to date.
And it may not be a monetary benefit directly to the sheriff's office, but if they're saying, and this is just great for morale, and, the public gets a chance to see what we do, and the officers are just really, glimmering to have an opportunity to be on national. I'm going further than I think I've heard the public information officer go, but there's some benefit. Not all contractual relationships result in a monetary payment.
Right.
Even though apparently this one does. I still don't understand whether it's $1,000 a week or $10 a episode or whatever it is, there's some money that is given to the county as a result of this relationship. So I'm sure that we don't understand all the parameters of this. I'm sure Mr. Montoya's suggestion can be taken into account. I'm sure Ms. Giacci's concern can be taken into account. And that reaches past the television cameras to the body worn cameras. How we treat victims is very relevant. And so I'm sure that concern can be taken into account. Is there anything else that we need to discuss on this now?
Mr. Montoya has his hand up to speak.
Yes. Are you frozen, Dave?
So just really quickly, I hope not. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Right on. So, my only, to your point, Chief Deputy, I would say then let's have REELZ make those public requests for the body cam, and they base their show off the body cam. And I think that you'll find the difference is that for them, that's not worth as much as having a camera crew there. They're making money off of this. Whether they're paying you or not, they're making money off of it. So there is a difference. And I just want to hit that home, that for production value, they want the cameras there. It's different than a body cam. They would not build a show based solely off of body cams. So there is a distinction, and that's the point I wanted to make.
Okay. So I doubt we'll ever be able to put this issue to bed.
What?
It's in a box of Pandora's.
Can you block my face out so I'm not seen at this public hearing?
Yeah, indeed, there are a bunch of issues that come with this, and again, Chief Carrillo, it may not have come to you, it may not have come to us in the way that we would like to learn, where you say, gosh, we're thinking about doing this on patrol live. What are your thoughts? So we didn't have that opportunity, but I think we can be of assistance to you as you evaluate this. And I hope the public comment will be taken into consideration. Anything, did you want to comment on the symbology on the cars or give us any further explanation on that?
Yeah, so our recruiting vehicles, we rotate through them every so often, and we try to pick things that stand out. You will see some that they look kind of like a Legos car or some sort of like.
You said Legos car?
Like a big Legos car. It's just one of those things. We take them to recruiting events. It generates like attention to our vehicles. It brings kids and the public to come and look at it. And when we decided on this particular car, we were getting ready to get a new recruiting vehicle.
When
And
you say this particular,
the one with all the symbols that you guys were discussing?
I thought it was several different, but
No, it's just one.
It's just one?
It's just one.
Oh, okay.
And
so they rotate the symbols on this particular car?
no, we don't rotate the symbols, we rotate the vehicles. So in terms of design, so we get different designs for different vehicles, and for this one particular vehicle, it was discussed saying one of the ways is to show our cadets. I think this was put out somewhere to kind of explain how each cadet class that comes through, they come up with a class motto. They come up with some sort of image that they put on their class flag. They make class t-shirts for it, just to kind of show pride within whatever they're doing. And they decided to go and get several of the class mottos to put on this vehicle to kind of demonstrate to everybody what it is that is going on when you do become a member of one of our cadet classes. So they go through, and one of the things that we promote when we are in the academy is the mindset of survival. Our deputies go out every day and they face some unknown circumstances that are sometimes violent and very stressful, and we need to have a mindset of survival, not just a mental, but a physical mindset of survival. So that's why we end up getting that warrior mentality. So they have some of these symbols of something like the sheepdog that is on there. The sheepdog is the protector of the of the sheep in protecting everybody. So our deputies, they believe that they're the ones who are out there protecting the public. That is what they do. They have a helmet because people who go into battle sometimes put on a helmet. So you have the thin blue line, which is similar to firefighters have the thin red line. You have corrections who have the thin green line. You have military. So these are similar to all of those. So they are just finding those different things, creating it to what's going to represent their class. And these symbols are a culmination of all of those different class mottos.
And so is there editorial control? You heard Mr. Herndon talking about, I'm sorry, Dr. Layden.
I'll wait.
Okay. You heard Mr. Herndon talking about these symbols having significance, white supremacists. Is anybody looking at that aspect of it?
Absolutely. So there is editorial control. We come up with it. It's designed in-house. And from there, anything that's going to be put up there, it gets approved all the way up through the top. I was actually the captain over our academy at the time when this particular design came up. So it went through the sergeant level, the lieutenant, the captain, the chief, the undersheriff, the sheriff. So we all looked at it, and we always have in the back of our mind, we want to display something that we think is going to be professional, as well as something that is going to achieve our goal with recruiting vehicles in particular. We need something that stands out and something that is going to show the pride of our cadets. And we all looked at it and with that lens, and we all felt that it was appropriate going up, and it was completely agreed on through the whole chain that it was an appropriate vehicle at that time. Is this one vehicle that's going to be on rotation forever? No, like I said, we rotate the vehicles out. This is one vehicle, and the next design will ultimately be different depending on what the decision is at that time. We do have editorial control.
Dr. Lee.
Hi. I thought the sheepdog was a wolf when I saw the image, and that was worrisome. There was also a sentence about, and I don't have my copies with me.
Is that the hard right?
About the hard right, that the right way is the hard right. Now, I need to say this. I've studied hate crimes and terrorism and all forms of violence for 35 years. Okay. There are extremists who are members of law enforcement. And I need to know from you what hard right means. The extremists I refer to are members of white supremacist groups and militias. I know this went all through the chain of command, but I would suggest you consider the public's perception of these images. I agree with what Lucas Herndon said. I believe he's correct. What is the sentence about the hard right? What does that mean?
So it just simply, we are trained, we're in law enforcement, we're going to do the right thing, no matter how hard that choice is.
Okay, so the right is to do the right thing.
We're doing
is
the right
hard.
thing. Sometimes,
Okay.
and not always, doing the right thing is hard, but sometimes you're doing something. And as you guys know, not even law enforcement, just people in general. Sometimes making the right decision is the hard thing to do.
Okay.
And you need to do the right thing, even if it's the hard right.
And that sentence, actually, there's another portion of it. It's always do the hard right. Other than, always choose the hard right rather than the easy wrong. Over the easy wrong. Because
The rest of that didn't make the cut for the car.
Right, okay.
I didn't think that.
That would have made a huge difference if that would have been on the card.
I think that that's probably just out of complete guessing. That's something that people in law enforcement, military, first responders, I think is just natural to them that they know what that means, but understandably missing context.
Okay, those Viking helmets, I know they mean to suggest strength and warrior and so forth, but those are Nazi symbols. You may not know this, and this is the hard part with using symbols, is they have meanings independent of what your meaning is. But those are Nazi symbols, those Viking helmets. And so now you know. So I'm hoping in the future you will reconsider your symbology on your car, even if I'm relieved to hear it's just one car. Okay, thank you.
If I were BCO, I wouldn't send that card to the
Sir,
local Jehovah Witness,
Sir,
Kingdom Hall of the Jehovah Witness. You wouldn't be welcome.
sir, please don't speak out of turn. Ms. Giacci.
Yeah, I was actually, I have to say that when I saw Always Choose the Hard Right, it was cringeworthy. And then I Googled it a ton of times to see where that came from, what it was. And you're right, that's, I mean, it's nested in kind of military where it was talking about you should always choose the hard right over the easy wrong. Basically saying, don't be scared of the consequences of what you're doing, but always choose the right way. And I had to say that I was like, okay, reverse myself on that particular statement because it did seem like it was trying to be inclusive of making the right choices, the right thing. And, you know, you would like to see that on a police car to say that. I just think that in and by itself, it kind of was a little bit of take your breath away until you found out more about it. And unfortunately, I think that's the problem with symbology and all of that is that you get to see it for 30 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. But yeah, when I looked it up and I did kind of a deep dive into it, it had only that meaning of doing the right thing. So
In the recruiting context, I mean, is it having the intended effect? Are you getting from that displays the more interest in people going through the academy or
I
it's
would have
just-
to look at the numbers, but it's not going to, our recruiting numbers aren't directly related to a single vehicle. Like, again, it's just a single vehicle that goes out, that parks at recruiting events and one of our recruiters drives it.
There was one that had the US flag upside down. Can you comment on that one? What is that? Boyd, do you have that?
I don't know if it was.
Yes, that's
Why
actually
did you
the
see
same, the one that says the.
Choose the hard right.
Choose the hard right. There's the color is removed and it's, I guess.
Oh, it's a thin blue line flag. Again, it goes back to the thin blue line, similar to like the thin red line for the firefighters, the thin green line for corrections.
And that's the way the thin blue line flag actually is.
it's also the one that contains the Zia symbol, right?
I'm not. It's just the hard right. Yeah. I guess
The flag is just vertical.
yeah, it's probably just transposed, I guess. I don't know if that's the
Yeah,
right
I think
word
it's-
about the,
Is upside down and as you can see, it's tattered.
Mhm.
There is actually a federal law called the US Flag Code that says that people are not supposed to do this. And the Supreme Court does allow people to burn the flag or to
Well,
mutilate it. But typically, that, you know, it's not in the context, you know, you wouldn't see something like this on government property.
You're saying it's upside down?
An upside down flag.
well, I think,
The flag is
I
just-
may be completely wrong, but I think that
It's not as if
the flag rules are for the actual flag, because I definitely abide by the flag rules, because I'm a proud displayer of a flag in front of my home, but if I were to then put that flag and it was tattered, I need to replace that flag, because it's the actual flag. If
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap that flag around me and wear it as a dress, it's against those rules, because you're not supposed to. It's speaking, I believe, of the actual flag versus a drawing of it. But again, I could be completely wrong, but I've looked at it.
What's the significance of that? What was the significance to the class that adopted it of having the flag upside down or
It's just hanging vertically, sir.
vertically?
It's just hanging.
Well, it's just hanging vertically.
Yeah, it's not.
That's the way it appears on the car.
Yes, it's just facing the car.
Because the writing. Flag around. Wouldn't the stars be up here? The writing would seem to indicate that the flag's upside down, would it not?
Yes.
Okay, so, all right. Anyway, I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on that, but, and
I do have
Debbie,
a
okay,
question.
you want to? Okay, go ahead.
I have a question also.
Sure.
I would just wonder if in the future you might consider looking at, I mean, if there are all these far right, I'm not an expert on far right symbols by any means of rights, but maybe it's something that you should compare things to, because we certainly don't want to, I'm sure you guys don't want to give that impression that that's the kind of people you're trying to recruit, or, you know, people to the far right or white supremacists. And we want to
No,
be
absolutely.
inclusive, yeah.
And that's why we send it all the way up. And like I said, everybody.
But someone
within
missed
chain-
that one.
It's true. Several of us missed it. And to say that it was a white supremacist, I mean, those on our chain are not white supremacists.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
and
that
if
maybe
we-
it need to be vetted.
That accusation is not being made.
No, I just
No,
looked at
and
that
I'm
symbol.
saying the majority of us were people of color, and to look at it, and if we felt that it was something, and you're right, it is definitely something that we will going forward look at.
I mean, if I saw it, I wouldn't know that's what it was.
Yeah, and
but
today's
several
day and age,
people do,
trying to keep
yeah.
up with what is related to white supremacists and the far right, I think even now, the okay symbol. Send somebody,
Yeah.
hey, okay, we're doing good.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I can't do that now
No,
because
yeah.
everything is now being associated.
Yeah.
And it's, in the future, we will definitely do our best to try to maybe do the most recent Google search on all the symbols that are there and remove them. Like I said, this is
We'd
one
appreciate
vehicle.
that.
We rotate it out.
Mhm.
So the next one, we will definitely take this into consideration when we do it, because if our intent was something was going to come as negative as this, we probably maybe would have chosen something different, but I don't think any of
Or
us
maybe there's
recognized it.
some other way to honor a
What-
class.
Well, when these came out also, I don't think all these symbols were associated with
May
far right,
not,
because
yeah.
I'm not even sure when the OK symbol turned into a racist symbol.
Is the OK
But
symbol-
it's, no, it's just one of those, we've had it for a little bit, and now that all those symbols are being associated with it, it's, at the time, that wasn't the case.
But there's a captain behind you that wants.
Yeah, I just want to add to what the chief is saying is, and these cadets, they build this identity as they're going from civilian to criminal. And part of that identity that we really try to instill in them is that you are not protecting others. Your duty is to protect us. All these images that you see are, most of them that we really try to show is, at the time, it's an image of guardianship, protecting, if there is that warrior fighting crime. I know crime is very abstract, but we want our cadets becoming deputies to want to identify with being protectors and guardians, so we can have them to serve and protect the community to the best of their ability. Because if they're not identified like that, they don't like, they're just there for a paycheck. They're not going to be serving to the best of their abilities and doing what we want them to, or we expect them to as an agency to their best. So
I think I think we get the effort and the concern. But I'm hoping that you all are hearing, this may not have the effect that we want to have with the public that we
Yes,
serve.
yes, sir.
You're saying, man, I want these cadets to understand that they're now guardians. Some people ain't feeling that. So just be sensitive to that.
No,
okay?
we do, and the same
Okay.
thing, and then even going back to the flag thing and just checking it, the flag vertical showing the stars to the left is actually the proper display on how it's supposed to be.
The flag.
Just going back to the flag and
Oh,
saying
okay.
that it was improper, but if we do it vertically, the stars showing to the left is, I'm being told, is supposed to be the correct way that it is displayed.
David has.
Chair Jill, yes, Mr. Montoya has his.
Mr. Montoya, sir.
Thanks. Let's put this just into perspective real quick that, you know, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office is an elite law enforcement organization. And these things that we're debating are important to the community, but they're in the big scheme of things, they're easy things for us to fix with discussion. We're not looking at some of the same challenges that our friends at APD have been facing for years, right? Just because Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office is elite in terms of law enforcement. My big thing is not, you know, what it means to me or what it means to you or what it means to the cadets. This is It's a white supremacist dog whistle on wheels. And if you're using that as a recruiting vehicle, it doesn't matter what I think it means or what you think it means, but to a white supremacist or someone from the far right, they would say, oh, this might be something that I might want to look into. So I would just ask that you're cognizant of that as we move forward. You have gang units that no tattoos, that no gang signs. To me, a bigger threat to our democracy is these white supremacists and far right groups. I think that we need to all educate ourselves on the symbols that they use and the messages that they send out there, because I, as a brown man, don't want to be pulled over on one dark night by a white supremacist. So let's just nip this in the bud. If I were to advise the sheriff's office, it would be change the vehicle, put something else on it, and let's move forward.
To ease some of that with, we also don't want any extremists or white supremacists or anything on our department. So if it got them to be attracted to us and somehow they applied, we have some of the most stringent background processes. We have never lowered our standards. We have maintained them extremely high to where they have to go through a very long and thorough process. And during that process, we look through not just their current social media posts, but the ones that they think that they've deleted. We are able to access those. It's pretty much almost a 6-month process to where it's not just a single polygraph that they go through, but they go through 2 different polygraphs that they have to go through. They are interviewed from everywhere that they've ever lived, their neighbors, their friends, the places that they've worked. They do a psychological evaluation to where even if they were able to get through all of that, our psychological evaluation is going to be determined if there's something that they are leaning one way or the other to an extreme, they're going to be able to flag that for us. And again, we've never lowered our standards, so if one of those came to our attention, they would not even be able to continue on to be one of our cadets. So I agree. It's something that we can solve with discussion and something that we can potentially change in the future. But in the meantime, we are vetting out our people very well.
Okay, anything else on this? We probably put an hour and a half into our focus on those particular things. And as I said, I don't know if it's possible to put to bed, but I appreciate Chief Carrillo being here and the opportunity to sensitize you to some of the concerns that those particular issues brought to the fore. So we as a board, I think, will have more opportunity. One, by way of report, Mr. Wismer has also brought to bear the fact that there's a process that we use to give advice. And so those may find their way to us for purposes of our advice or further public pronouncement. But I think that's sufficient for this meeting, is it not? Is it not? Okay.
I do want to say something really
Yeah,
quickly,
sure.
just out of encouragement, that if there was anything like this that came up in the future, like I said, we do have a lot of different ways to communicate with us. You guys do know many of us on the department and know that we are willing to have conversations prior to going to the media and taking like this board to a media blitz just to come to the table. I think, to be honest with you, when
Let me say this. The media blitz wasn't to get you guys to come to the table. We have an obligation to solicit public comment. That's our purpose. And so it's not directed at, let's embarrass the sheriff's office. That's not our purpose. We're saying there are some issues, public, that you need to be aware of. I probably passed by, because I used to work in the building at 4th and Harris, that building where that car is parked out there, and I'm saying, what in the world is that? So there's the opportunity to come here too. And that issue probably goes back many years, as you're saying, Chief. This deal about On Patrol Live, I don't think, I don't know what REELZ is. So I wouldn't have been cognizant of that, but for it coming to our attention. And so this every time we meet, it's a public meeting. And so this is our only opportunity to say, we don't have private conversations with you and say, man, really, do you guys really need to put that on the card? We do it in a public forum, and so we just want you to be sensitive to the information. It's not an effort to embarrass you individually, to embarrass the sheriff's office, but it's an opportunity for us to elucidate, for us to gather public opinion and feed it to you. I know you say, man, we've got so many avenues of information coming to us. We're just another one, okay?
No, what I meant though was that it seemed like there was a specific type of comment that you were looking for, like Lori said. And the reason I'm saying that is because in some of the tweets that went out from the county itself, like, it's not like the board has its own social media. So the county itself sent out a tweet tagging Progress Now New Mexico, who does put anti-police rhetoric on their social media platforms and is encouraging a group of people that are going to have a specific statement one way about these things. And that's what escalated things on social media throughout the evening.
I'm too old.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know what you're talking about. I chair this board.
I could read it to you because I think that
And this
is worthy
what
of
would you
it.
be reading to me?
Progress Now.
Put out
The
a
county
tweet.
website?
The county put out the tweet last night.
The county.
Well,
County.
Progress New Mexico, Now New Mexico did say that a county employee specifically tagged them in the post.
What does that mean?
Bernco County specifically tagged our staffer in this tweet announcing the meeting. We've covered the way that cops here are dangerous in New Mexico. The cop culture is when you terrorize communities but claim you're not the good guys. Cop culture is when you claim that not all cops are bad. And so that's the gentleman that you guys had on your meeting here, and some of the comments and things that are transpiring on social media is, it seems like that's what was intended with this, was to get specific people like that to come out and say their anti-police rhetoric. So there was a concern
We've got
about
people in the community and we've got the sheriff's office. And so to try to gauge the intent of this board is impossible. Because my observation is you have 9 different opinions on this board, some of whom are even my age and don't do social media and don't understand what it means to tag. But we understand what it means to listen and be aware of stuff. So again, don't try to characterize our intent. You know, maybe there are other ways, and certainly I think as a board, we're willing to explore that with you to bring this in a way that is more sensitive of where you all are.
No, and I have total respect for that. I think it was more so maybe the way that the county their role is to promote the board. That might be something that you guys consider and look at how exactly that was done. And so I don't think that was anything that you guys had part of.
Let me say this. We've had over 24 meetings now?
Couple years.
Yeah, and so it's difficult to get public comment.
Yeah.
And so that is his job. And you know, I think he did a great job in at least getting some attention to the work. So, you know, it tends to be an ebb and flow. You know, gosh, nothing going on today. Oh my God, they're on patrol live, and you know, so those just seem to be the issues du jour. I mean, when this board came about, there were issues, and so bringing some public attention to them actually encouraged some solution to previous issues, and we're hoping it does. And you know, there's internal change. There will be internal change with you all as well. The next office holder may take different positions, but he, and I believe that's the only possibility, is he at this point, will at least be cognizant of these issues. We'll make sure of that. So again, any offense that you take by the way this came about, please accept my apologies for it. Again, we're not always going to agree, but our primary purpose is to bring transparency to some of these issues. Okay?
We appreciate you guys having us here to talk.
Well, I just wanted to say that I think we were soliciting comments, not on social media, but to the board.
Right.
And as far as the cars go, we got overwhelmingly negative on the symbolism. On the reels, it was a mixed bag. A lot of people love that. So, I mean, we did get a lot of positive comments on the REELZ show, and we got some
Some of
comments
us
too.
watch the People's Court. Go figure.
Oh, my Debbie.
Crime TV, that's interesting, that, you know.
Okay.
the court,
Chair,
but yeah.
Chair Jewel, we have Debbie Strong, like to
Debbie
make.
Strong.
Oh, Debbie Strongin, yes, Vice Chair Strongin.
Thank you. Actually, the point that I was going to make has already been made, so I had put my hand down. But thank you.
Thank you. But don't go away. So is there anything further, Chief? We appreciate it. This was actually your time that we've consumed. So any other issues?
Did we pass those comments along to the sheriff's office?
Yes, we did receive.
I think they're available to them.
Okay. You know, because you know, I got a stack of emails and things.
We had
so-
long ago, Chief, this discussion about, you know, people wanting to remain anonymous, and it didn't look like any of the comments here were.
No, but we could easily redact their names and just leave the
We wondered
comments. You
about
don't
that.
need to
It's
know the
actually
people.
public information once it reaches us. So I mean, we even had that.
Yeah.
That discussion. So I don't know that we can remove their names, but we always like to tell the public, look, you don't have to be afraid. You can come here and make the comment. We'll pass it on and you don't have to use your name. You had something else, sir?
Is there any, so is there a place to send an email or a comment?
Sure is.
Is that the address right here, the D. Gonzalez or something?
Yes.
No, it's the.
Didn't.
Yes, sir.
Right there.
So send it to you and then it'll get to them? I
Yes.
guess?
Correct.
It'll get to both sheriffs and.
All right.
And I apologize, I had to step out for a few minutes, but did anyone have any additional questions of On Patrol Live that I might be able to?
If additional questions come up, are you the person? Because we may even develop a subcommittee on this and try to help you all out some more.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can give you guys the best email address to send over to me. It's BCSO.
Who's got the contract?
PIO.
You have it, Daniel? Can you get that?
I don't have it with me right now. I will contact Ms. Fuller and we'll have that email to you all.
Okay.
At burnco.gov?
Yes, ma'am. At burnco.gov.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Vice Chair Strongin.
I think we beat that one up.
Is then yours under old business. Older I get, the less I like the term old.
Right, let's not talk about that.
Yeah. So anyway, we need to discuss the annual report. I know I need to give you some stuff, but I did take a look at it and really want to, before you speak, express appreciation to you for all you do with respect to our annual report. And I know it's like herding cats. I know Debbie Dodge at our last meeting said, Vice Chair Strongin said, bring these comments here. And I'm saying, what are you talking about? And so hopefully you've gotten at least some of the response that you wanted to. And we'd like to know what you envision as our process going forward. And I think I intentionally did not give you my forward, knowing that we have some stuff that I think needs to go in it, but you've made provision otherwise in that report for things that may come up between now and then. So please, Vice Chair Strong.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for giving me some comments. So we don't actually have all that much to go over at this point, as long as people aren't bringing up objections to anything that's in here, because basically everything in here has been presented as a draft for comment. It's just sometimes easier to comment if something is in front of you. So something I added from the draft before this one, which you're looking at now, I think draft 8, is the summary of the recommendations we're making to BCSO and to the county commission. So I don't know if you have any comments on that. I mean, we can go through actually, I should start this by saying.
Vice Chair Strong, is it your plan that we have an opportunity to make this a bigger agenda item at the next meeting?
Well, I worry about making this, about waiting until November 18th,
Okay.
to finalize this. So if people don't want to sit through this now to discuss it kind of page by page or whatever people want to bring up, then I think we should just have a special meeting just for this purpose.
Well,
And
some
I'm
of those
fine-
some of those 63 pages are appendix.
Right.
And so that's just record. There's nothing new there, but the 24 pages?
Right.
of
And
report.
it's really only things that are redlined in this latest draft or that are highlighted in green that I wanted people to especially take a look at. But, you know, I don't know if everyone has had an opportunity to do that. But things like, you know, I need you to check and make sure that if you're in a subcommittee that you're properly listed on that subcommittee, because I mean, we have so many subcommittees now. You know, I didn't correctly list everyone. I've tried to correct it based on the feedback I've gotten, but I need, you know, if anyone does have a question about it, then, you know, or I've put you on a committee you're not on or not included you, you just need to let me know. So as I mentioned in my letter that went out each time this went out. Okay, then things.
On draft 8 or 9?
8.
Well, this is draft 8.
Okay.
And
So
I'm sure you've
here's our
read.
opportunity. Do we need to tell Vice Chair Strongin anything about draft 8?
I think we should just email our comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's all right if people do it, but it's not all right if people disagree, because
Right.
then I'm making choices and people don't like that process. Obviously, it's not, this is our report, not my report. So we need to do this as a group. And
Yeah.
I really do think we either do it now or we do it at a special meeting, but it should be before November 18th.
Okay.
I think the November 18th meeting should be to approve the absolutely final report, other than maybe a few things that can't yet be put in, like, you know, presumably by then actually we'll have the name of the new sheriff. We can put that name in. You know, there may be a couple of brand new things, but other than that, this needs to get finalized, because I don't want to be doing a draft 12, like on December 31st.
Okay, Dr. Layden said special meeting. I thought I saw
Second.
Giacci. I see Debbie Dodge. Is there anybody else that has a different opinion?
You can vote no if you like.
I think it's
David, you're still with us and
Special
you're
meeting.
fine with the special meeting as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Special meeting when and where?
I guess that can be worked out. I think, you know, if we can all just meet in person around a table, it doesn't have to be, I don't even think Danette would have to record it, as long as somebody agrees to keep minutes. And
Our legal counsel has some concern.
Well, it's not,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Chair. It's not really a concern. You can do it. I believe we have other conference rooms. You can make it available for members to visit via Zoom or come. Public comment's not necessary for any meeting in the state. So it's the prerogative of this board. And
We do have to publish though for it.
that's the only requirement to
Okay,
publish
and
to
what's
allow.
our lead time on that? How many days?
It's, gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head. I usually do it at least
4 days.
it's 94 or 96 hours before.
Okay.
Okay. How about November 4th? It's a Friday.
Okay.
That's, I think, 3 weeks. Is that 3 weeks?
3 weeks, and it's 2 weeks before our next
And
meeting.
2 weeks before our next meeting. So how is Friday, November 4th?
How's that sound to you, Chair?
Do you think you can get them?
I'm not sure that the sheriff's office needs to be at the meeting to finalize the annual report unless,
You'll get a copy.
yeah.
Yeah, if she wants to be, she certainly
Right.
can. But how about November 4? Here at the county complex, they say they can get us a room.
Fine.
And we can go ahead and finalize it 2 weeks before our meeting on the 18th. Does that work for you?
It absolutely works for me. And are we going to say 11 o'clock at the same time we generally meet?
Yeah.
The voice count is saying, yeah. Any objections? Any problems? See the 4th.
But in the meantime, I don't want this to make anyone feel like they need to wait till then. So if there's a correction to something like the subcommittees or something non-controversial, let me know. You know, if I spelled your name wrong, let me know now.
If we're able to complete this thing can we vote on it on the 4th? I mean, obviously, yes. Will we have the results of the sheriff's of the election? Yeah.
No, that's the 8th.
8th is the election.
The 8th, it's the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at any rate, it won't be complete except perhaps for that. I mean, that may be the exception to completing it.
Right. And
So
I mean,
anyway.
sorry.
No, go
In the
ahead.
interim, what I will try to do is revise this and get it out to all of you, hopefully early next week, just to include the discussions that have occurred today. Because I think today's meeting was very productive in many ways, and it should be reflected in this report.
Hold on, we're not there yet. We're not finished producing.
Well, there you go. It's
okay. But we then decided that we'll have a special meeting on the 4th of November, 11 o'clock here. Danette, you're able to arrange a room. We don't necessarily need, do we need the Zoom? I don't think so, do we?
We do Teams.
People aren't going to be here.
Even if people can't be there, I mean, we can include them. If we have it, we can use it. I don't want to waste our time. If we don't, I mean, if your conference room can't accommodate that, people can chime in by phone or otherwise, as long as we know the mission is completing the report. We're not taking public comment. You know, we don't present the report to the sheriff's office by then. If Chief Carrillo wants to come or send a representative, that's fine. The mission is to get this report out and have it ready for final at the meeting on the 18th.
Fine.
Okay. And so with that, I'm going to move on. Is that all right, Vice Chair?
Yes,
Okay,
that's fine with me. Thank you.
All right. So the next agenda item is the update on the League of Women Voters and the candidate forum.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Layden.
Hi. Okay, so I spoke to Karen Wentworth of the League of Women Voters this week. I sent you all an email. I'm waiting to hear. They're looking for a moderator. The moderator has to be a member of the Albuquerque chapter of the League of Women Voters. They're still looking for someone to serve. This is a voluntary position. We have been asked to draft questions. We've got 33 draft questions. If I may suggest at this time that we are a subcommittee to choose the questions of maybe 3 people or so.
Will that be our job, Dr. Layden, or do they?
That's going to be our job. We need.
So we cull it down to 20?
We need to get to 20 questions and we need to agree. We can take some questions that were drafted are on the same subject. We can pull that together. We could do that by email.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable. Does it really require that we agree and that we have a vote as a board on it?
We don't have to agree.
If they're their questions, you know, they can own the questions.
We need to give them 20 questions. So
We
some
need
of
to
us
cut it
need to
down to
give
20,
them.
or if we give them 30, they'll cut it down to 20.
Some of the questions are duplicates.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if Floyd and at least one other person, Elena is on this committee. If someone else would like to serve, we need to narrow down the questions
Okay.
and eliminate the duplication. We're hoping to hold a sheriff's candidate forum on Zoom. The current date we're considering, if we can do this, is October 24th. We tried for the 17th, but John Allen wasn't available. Okay, so the League of Women Voters is willing to do this if we can find the moderator. We've been working on this since last May. This is a down ballot race that doesn't get the attention it should. We see this as positive for BCSO to have a sheriff's candidate debate that elevates that election. So this is what we're trying to do.
And that right now is going to be by Zoom.
It'll be on Zoom. That's what they said,
All right.
but is there someone, Floyd, Elena?
Yeah.
Is someone else willing? Do we need someone else?
To call the
Debbie,
questions.
Debbie,
Yeah,
okay,
that-
Debbie and Floyd and Elena and I will get together through email and we'll
call
start
the
narrowing
questions
the
down.
questions down.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any update on the Metropolitan Crime
No
Initiative?
update. I'm not getting answers to my messages
Okay, is that from Damon?
about the Metro Crime Initiative. They
You're not
have
getting Damon to answer you?
Damon Martinez and Helen Maestas at the city of Albuquerque
Okay.
have not responded.
I'm sorry, can I ask a?
Vice Chair has.
Sure.
her hand up. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just had a question. I'm kind of lost on the candidate form. Are we gonna publicize that? I mean, that'll be open to the
The
public.
publicity has been drafted. We're waiting to announce it.
Okay.
I want you to know that Judge Jewell and Floyd Vasquez are very aware, so am I. We're just waiting to hear that there's a moderator and then we
Okay.
can go full blast with
Okay. Okay, good.
publicity.
And so the moderator, Dr. Layden, is somebody that has to be a member of the.
Has to be a member of the Albuquerque chapter of the League of Women
And so
Voters.
that is out of our realm.
That's out of our realm. This is,
And I'm not sure that it would be appropriate for any of us, were we members to.
we have
moderate.
to hope for the best.
Yeah.
As
So,
always.
okay. All right. So, anything else about that candidate's form?
Vice Chair has her hand up.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to propose that maybe we can vote on that at our November 4th meeting, or will this have, I mean, I don't know how we cull down this list of questions and then,
The form's October 24th. Yeah, the form is in
Yeah.
October.
so can we just develop the list, the people on this subcommittee and that's it? And then we send it
Yeah, you
over
have
to,
30
okay,
questions now. The task of that
Right.
subcommittee is culling it down to 20.
got it.
So
Okay.
You have the potential questions, unless, and I thought my little questions that I didn't get submitted were covered. So I just had questions, going back, like the body worn cameras.
That's old news.
Health orders, but I think they are subsumed in the list of 30. So I'm fine. And so if you all can eliminate duplicates, you're probably going to get down to 20.
Right.
So I think we're all right.
Okay.
Nothing else on the Metropolitan Crime Initiative, new member orientation and representation, Debbie Dodge?
Yeah, Joseph and Jim Stewart and I met via Zoom. David wasn't able to join us that day. And we thought new members should get, and we don't have this now, and maybe Danette can develop this for us.
If David wasn't there, he thought it was new member hazing.
No, he was busy in Las Vegas helping him out there.
Okay.
But a roster with every board member's name and email, and we don't have that to give to everybody. So that would be good to have. And just make sure that when they become a new board member, to get the vision statement, the code of conduct, and the rules of procedure, but also have a mentor to kind of guide them through how we conduct our meetings. Mr. Stewart wanted to know more about how the county worked and how the BCSOs, what their organization chart, and but we didn't get down into the weeds about who's going to give all that information. But I think the mentorship was the biggest deal, to have someone guide you through how our meetings
What's the
work.
committee's recommendation? Are we just going to assign mentors or?
Well, I mean, we didn't get down to the
You didn't
weeds
get-
on
okay,
that,
okay.
how we assign the mentors. So we'll have to develop that further.
All right. Good report. Anything else? Anybody on new member?
Did you have
organization?
anything to add to that? You were at the meeting too.
No, I think Jim's from Texas, so he doesn't really know Bernalillo County very well. But I think,
And Jim has been communicating Chief
Yeah.
Rio, so.
I think it's good for,
Is any of that stuff that they're asking for a chain of command? That's not problematic, is it? Okay.
Judge, I think an org chart for the county and BCSO would be good just for new members, but also subcommittees if, say, we need to reach out to the PIO on certain research we're trying to do, fact finding, or, you know, the chief deputy or whoever,
And
an org
before
chart
we had
would be
Chief
good.
Carrillo, anybody else would just kind of blow us off, but Chief Carrillo said, Jim, anything you need, they've developed that relationship. So with that comment, I guess what I'm saying is, maybe we just ought to go through her instead of trying to reach under her and contact the PIO or anybody else. And this is not a criticism. But you know, having the weight of her position will get you a response rather than if you just say, yeah, remember Captain Huffmeyer, who is now what, a deputy chief as well?
Chief deputy.
Chief deputy. And so, you know, people were saying, man, you know, Huffmeyer's not returning my calls. And then finally, you know, you all had a great relationship with her. But anyway, if it's all right, Chief Deputy Carrillo, let's just say, go through her.
I think he just wanted an org chart of how things work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Danette?
A lot of that information is on the website and even on your guys's website, that you're asking for. Like the whole county org chart is under Burnco. But so my understanding is you just kind of want like a packet, paper packet that they get.
A discrete
Well, I
packet.
don't know that it has to be a paper packet. You
Could
can-
it just be the links of what
Yeah, you could
everything
link
is?
it or whatever. But I mean, I don't think that we have a concise list of every board member and their email and how to get in touch with them, you know. I mean, yeah, you may have developed your own, but yeah.
I have a pretty concise one. Some of your cell phone numbers are missing.
Yep, you do.
So, I don't know if that was by design, and I hate giving everybody's cell phone numbers without their permission. So,
Yeah, make sure that it's.
I will send out what I have, and then you guys can say yay or nay to add your cell phone.
And this is coming in the context of new member.
New members, yeah,
orientation.
not
So-
for the public.
So maybe.
No, I know that.
In addition to the steel packet, we need to say, you know, periodically, we just need to have an orientation session and make sure that everybody understands. I know for Jim, the question came up, man, I'm appointed from this commission district. You know, am I beholden to that commission district? I went back and read stuff. I mean, questions like that can go to legal, but I don't think that's your charge if you come from a certain district. It's just our collective wisdom that holds. So anyway, new member orientation and representation, mentors, a mentorship system would be great. And we can plan on having perhaps an annual session or whatever that's devoted to that so that everybody has the same information. Update on school safety meeting in November. David, are you still on? David may be off in Vegas doing good work. Danette, we have a room at the International Library Building for the 18th. Unfortunately, it's not the Jewel Room right now. Or fortunately, who knows? It's a little smaller. Danette, you told me it'll accommodate 50 people. And so that should be sufficient. Do we have hybrid capability? Do you know?
I'm not sure what the room entails.
But we said the purpose of that meeting would be school safety. And so I don't know, Chief Carrillo, if Mr. Montoya has had an opportunity to talk to you. I know Under Sheriff Campos was very excited to talk about some of the things that are going on with respect to the school safety plan. You know, this is in the aftermath of Uvalde. And, you know, we want to make sure that we all are a part of any planning that goes on in this community about how we're going to take care of our kids in similar situations. So I think that was kind of the focus, just kind of an opportunity for you all to say, oh yeah, we're well on this, and we have resource officers at the schools, and this is how that's gonna work, so, you know, maybe Mr. Montoya has had that conversation with you. No?
No one has reached out to me.
Yeah. Would you, on the 18th of November, see if there's some resource that you can lend to us to discuss that? I'll make sure that Mr. Montoya is in
And
contact.
where is the,
This is going to be at the International District Library on Central.
7601 Central Northeast. It's
The old
3/10
here.
of a mile. I happen to know this. It's 3/10 of a mile east of Louisiana, next to the Caravan.
Well, the
East.
Caravan.
No, it was the
Well,
caravan.
It was the
It was
Caravan.
the
Well, there's
caravan.
another,
Another land.
3/10 of a mile east of Louisiana.
Yeah,
On Central.
and the
North-
fire
north
station is
side
right
of the
behind
street.
Yeah.
They
And what
got a
time is that?
parking lot in
11.
back.
and you want somebody to discuss school safety?
School safety. That was kind of David's deal. He says, man, you know, if we're having difficulty exciting the public, they'll really be interested to hear how our sheriff is taking care
I
of it.
think under Sheriff Campos was going to talk about it.
Well, I don't know if he was directly or
I think.
if he was just excited to have somebody do it. So if you could check with him, and maybe it's an opportunity for us to discuss some more stuff. Let me say this with great sensitivity. At the close of our last meeting, I received at least 3 or 4 emails directed to our plan to have a meeting at the northwest substation in December. And so I have a couple of those comments, it came to my email rather than the county site. One was from Senator Linda M. Lopez. Good afternoon, Judge President Jewell. I just stopped right there, you know. It says, I hope all is well with you and your family. Thank you for your continued service to our community. It's recently brought to my attention that your advisory board is considering to hold community meetings throughout Bernalillo County at the BCSO substations or at the sheriff's office downtown. I write to you to please consider holding the community meetings at the county community centers. I believe our communities of color will respond to an invitation if the location is not at a substation. I write, thank you for your email, Senator. We have scheduled for one meeting at the Northwest substation, which decision we may revisit. We have also planned for a meeting in the County Commission conference room at Alvarado Square, as well as the Jewel conference room in the new International District Library. We have yet to meet live and want to be accessible to the public, yet knowledgeable about the sheriff's office functioning. Our next meeting, we'll talk about the meeting here and say, please consider joining us as your schedule may allow, lending your knowledgeable input to the effort to bring the sheriff's office and the community closer. Thank you for all you do, Mexico. Correct her on my title. I'm a lowly retired judge and merely chair of the SOAR, so I'm not president and have no executive power. And so that causes me to say to you all colleagues, do you all want to revisit the matter of this meeting at the substation? Is it enough of an irritant that we're not ready to go there? I think we need to be the bridge between the community and the sheriff's department. And so I think eventually we need to go there and try and at least train the public. It's safe. You can go to a substation and you won't get a body cavity search or any of that stuff, you know? So I don't know if it's a December meeting. We need to postpone.
I don't think so.
I think we need to find out about the availability of a hybrid meeting for the public to come onto Zoom. I think we need to know about the technology at the North Area Command. And we need to know about it at the International District Library too. That's my fear about these meetings off-site.
Well, and I know I'm the one that brought it up. And I also know that I think there's probably about 7 more letters, more or less, that have been sent to me that were sent to you um,
Yeah, I
about,
just read one. I think I brought Mr. Mansky's letter along with me,
Right.
and they're all in that vein. You know, Elena, I certainly wanted to tell them, please don't get the impression that we're scheduling all the meetings at the sheriff's.
It's one meeting.
It's one meeting, you know.
but I think that's that one meeting or 8 meetings, the result is kind of the same of the idea of not necessarily being in a place where, and especially people that would want to make a comment that would feel comfortable being at the sheriff's department. And so I think that still remains the concern that almost everyone that sent me their letters, because I found out that the thing was on, the video was on BCSO, site. And I think a lot of people, somebody said something about it being on the site.
Which video was that?
That was the meeting that we had where it was brought up about not having or having a meeting at the sheriff's department. And that got some run on that because all of our meetings are I guess, put up on the site.
All of your meetings are put up on the
Right.
site and on YouTube.
You are our
But on
section of the
your site.
county site. Are you talking about the sheriff's site?
It's on the Bernalillo County site. So it's
On the calendar.
on the county site. Yeah.
That the meeting will occur there? I'm
No,
not
the
understanding.
minutes are taped and.
The proceeding, yeah, there's a Zoom, there's a tape of the Zoom and it's
Right.
available.
And apparently someone knew that I was on that board, mailed me the comments that they had sent to you. So I think there was a number of people that represented underserved communities that sent those letters to you. I don't know if I have them all, but I know I got a number of them expressing pretty much what I had said, is that they didn't feel that this was where the meeting should be held and that it should be held at more of a community-based place in the city of Albuquerque than the sheriff's department.
So let me, typically when we make a decision, it's put to rest. But this is important enough, you all, that I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to evaluate this properly. So rather than a motion, is there further discussion about it? Is there anything, I understand I think I understand the concern. And I probably have a sense of where I want to go, but I want to make sure everybody else is heard and is comfortable.
And Mr. Montoya is back on.
Oh, Mr. Montoya is back on? Yes,
I'm
Doc.
wondering what the sheriff's representatives think when they hear that there are people in the community that are uneasy about coming to a sheriff's office for a meeting. How do you respond when you hear that? What do you think?
I would like to give them the invitation, like you said, they come to our substation and they'll recognize and see that no harm is going to come, whatever their concerns are. I think it would be our opportunity to show them that it is a place that they can come to and feel safe. Sometimes to overcome our fears, we need to face them, and that may be a good time for them to do it because they have you guys there as well to be as a mediator to see that we're not going to do whatever it is that they fear is coming to. And then the next time they're able to take the step without you guys there. And then it'll help to bridge that and open the door for them to come see us more often.
Come see you and report crime if they're a victim or whatever. But is it the December meeting, guys? Maybe we have not established enough credibility in the community that they trust us. I mean, we don't, always have trust from the sheriff's office. It's like, oh, you guys put this stuff in the press to attack us, and heck, we're lowly citizens, trying to bridge this gap because the gap exists. It does. So Elena, tell me more. you say 1 or 8, does that mean never shall, with respect to these people that express this concern, never shall you meet at the sheriff's office? If we schedule one there, period, we've violated them and they will never go to a sheriff's office. Is that?
I think what we have to do is take a step and have that kind of foundational understanding of underserved communities, misserved communities.
Elena, can we establish a meeting specifically targeting that? And you pick the location of it. Let's address that. Let's address it head on. And at some point, have a meeting at a sheriff's substation. I mean, it doesn't make sense to be on one side of the fence and promote the division when our job is to bring the two communities together.
I don't think it's a matter of promoting a division. I think it's a matter of acknowledging there already is a huge division between a lot of communities of color, underserved, misserved, communities that would not feel comfortable in that situation. And I don't think that it's going to happen that there's going to be a point in time in the next 6 months, 8 months, year, 2 years, that's going to be reversed in the feeling of they don't feel comfortable about being present at a substation or a station. And it's not just BCSO. It's many of the law enforcement agencies right now that they may not feel comfortable in. And I think the people that you heard from were all representing many of those communities. I don't know how many you heard from, but I know I heard from a number of people.
And if you have 8 letters, I'd like to have them. I know I have at least 3 or 4.
Okay.
I don't.
All right.
How
Yeah,
many?
I will, ask permission because I understood they went to you, but I will call and make sure that it's okay that I send them to you.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's not a problem.
All right,
But
so
I do
you've
think-
heard the concerned board. What say you? Is there any action to be taken right now?
I think it would be good for us to get information from BCSO if that was the original intent, is for us to be more informed. I think that's one thing. But to have a community meeting or one of our general meetings there, I would still say that I would like it to be more out in the community, at a community center, at a public venue.
The difference in what I'm hearing, Elena, is I can't discern if you're saying in perpetuity, we saying not 6 months, we may never schedule a meeting at a substation or at the BCSO headquarters, and all of our meetings need to be in a community center. So articulate for us what it is that you would like to see happen.
I would like to see that we continue to have a deeper conversation about us representing all communities, including communities of color, underserved, misserved, disserved communities, and continue to have conversation with those communities, inviting them to our meetings and getting more information about how best we can serve those communities. And do that. In the meantime, stall this meeting for December and then having a larger conversation and inviting, like at the International District, inviting communities to come.
Please invite those people to the November 18th meeting.
So doing things like that and being proactive in hearing those voices that may not always be represented.
Okay, so is that fairly clear to?
Clear to me what
everybody?
she wants. I don't know that I agree, but.
Yeah, and our typical process, and of course, we've got a book of process, is by Robert's Rules of Order that says a motion is placed on the floor. There's a call for a second, after which we can entertain discussion. Ultimately, there's a vote to determine. This is not my determination, but I really want us to at least have some solidarity on things that Elena is discussing. So that's Elena's motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and properly seconded. Essentially that we postpone the meeting in December and that we, I'm assuming on our agendas, have further conversation about making sure we are accessible to these underrepresented communities that Elena is making us mindful of. Is that fair, Elena? Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? Those in favor of Elena's motion, again, the motion is to postpone the December meeting. And we,
Yeah. Will we meet in December, but not?
yeah, we'll definitely meet in December, but it wouldn't be at a substation. That's all. It wouldn't be at the Northwest substation. That's all. So we have to figure out a place to have the meeting. Are you ready for the question? Does anybody have unreadiness? Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Was that you, David, that said aye?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Did he say yes?
Yeah, he said that.
So those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
2 nay. So the motion passes 4-2. Chair doesn't need to break a tie or anything, so I won't even vote on it. And so we'll have to establish another place for December, but at least Chief now knows, you know, that they don't have to be ready for us in December. And Chief, we can kind of discuss where we can phase in a meeting at a substation. And please tell Under Sheriff Campos we sincerely appreciate the invitation, and we'll get there when, you know, when we can develop a comfort level with doing it, and bear with us. Anything further on that? Okay, so that's put to rest. Back to the agenda. I think that would be the final item was our next meeting. We've now established a meeting of November 4 for purposes of finalizing our annual report. I think we took care of all that new business early in the meeting, so we're done with that. And announcing our next meeting, then November 4 here, November 18, International District Library. David, I think you may have stepped away. And so Chief Carrillo is expecting a conversation with you about what that substantive agenda looks like.
Sure. I've reached out to Captain Funes, who runs the resource officers, and we're going to have a discussion about that as well. I'd be happy to sit down with the chief deputy too, and also have reached out to APS-PD.
Okay, well, you'll have an opportunity. You'll have
go ahead.
You'll have a brief opportunity to address us on it on the 4th, even though that meeting is dedicated to the report. We'll want to know what's in store for the 18th. And I think you've had an opportunity to hear some of the concerns about representation of sensitive communities. So please take that into account. Contact Chief Deputy Carrillo.
Absolutely.
Anything else come before the SORB? Well, in usual fashion, I want to express my appreciation to you all for allowing me to sit in this chair. And as your chair, I want to express appreciation to the Sheriff's Office, Chief Carrillo, and the detail of folk who have have appeared here before us. Thank you so much. But of course, we want to thank the public who was courageous enough to come here and share opinions, whether yay or nay, for or again, whatever it was, that input is important. I'm sure the sheriff's representatives have heard it. We've heard it. We need to determine how to move as a result of it. But that's what we live in this effort for, is to get that input. And so I'm very thankful to Floyd, to Danette, to Daniel and county staff for giving us the opportunity to gather that input. And unless there's something further, within adjournment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you next month.
That didn't take, oh, did you say your legs fell asleep?